Hi, I'm Tanya from English Challenges, and I'm so excited about our guest today. She is a fellow Instagram educator, and I just cannot wait to learn more about her language learning journey. So before we get started, let's do the introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Hello, Tanya, and thank you for inviting me. I am from Russia, and I teach English both online and in the classroom. So I work at university, and after classes there, I quickly run home and teach on Skype.
That is so impressive. The hustle is real.
So no free time, only work.
Excellent. Sometimes it's what we do, right? I feel
Yeah.
the same way. Do you have a favorite, whether it's a funny memory about an English mistake or a really cool memory about something fun in the classroom?
Oh, I remembered one more inappropriate joke.
Yes,
So
tell me.
that's what happened to me in class. It was also in elementary class, and we were talking about daily routines, morning routines, sorry. And the man, he was learning German before, and English was new for him. So, of course, he made some pronunciation mistakes. And that pronunciation mistake got me laughing for 15 minutes, and I couldn't stop. And moreover, I could not explain why I was laughing, and that was embarrassing.
Oh no.
So said, he said, um, I woke up and I went to the bathroom to brush my tits.
Were you able to explain it to him?
I was laughing so hard, and I was 18 years old, and I was not sure that I can, go into details and explain. So, yeah, I was just standing there laughing, and I apologized for laughing, but I couldn't stop myself. So they had to wait for me to come down.
You're like, I swear I'm not laughing at you. It's something you said.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
tearing up. So for those
yeah.
of you listening, he meant to say brush his teeth.
Yes.
And he said brush his tits. Tits is a kind of a casual, borderline vulgar way to refer to a woman's breasts. So as you can imagine, 18-year-old Nataly with this grown man saying he's going to brush his tits. And
Yeah.
this is an amazing example because I have a lot of people who get really nervous about, well, what if they laugh at me? And I remind them, sometimes it's not you. It's just you say something like this. It's not the guy you're laughing at. It's because the pronunciation or the translation is just so funny.
That's
And,
right.
and so when you have those situations, I always tell them, assume it's something cute and funny. So don't get self-conscious and just ask, like, oh, did I say something?
Do you want a more embarrassing joke?
Always.
So I have a student, so I will not probably give away her name.
Okay.
And we have an American friend in common. And we used to have our lessons in a bar, so we could just discuss some topics together. And it was Thomas's birthday, so our American's friend, and we were thinking of organizing a party together for him. And we were discussing the details. And my student said, okay, so we can buy cake, we can decorate the room, and we can blow the balls. So what she wanted to say was blow the balloons, but Thomas was very happy, and he said, that's the best present I can get.
Oh no. And were you able to explain why that was misunderstood?
After laughing a lot, me and Thomas, so we had to explain her what she said. Yeah, that was funny, really, really
Oh
funny.
my gosh, that is hilarious. And so those those mistakes are super common because we don't really teach, or textbooks don't really teach sexual connotations. But as a teacher, it's hard. I struggle with correcting those mistakes in my lessons too, where it's like, oh, do I correct this and tell them why? Like, do I feel appropriate saying those words?
Yeah, I usually correct one mistake. So as far as I know, it is also sexual connotation when you say feel myself.
Yes, a super common mistake.
Yeah, so that's what I usually correct, and I have to explain why they can't use this. So, and I usually give them a link to Beyonce's and Nicki Minaj's song. This
Oh,
one,
that's a good reference.
yeah.
So this is, oh, that is so good. Yeah. So for those of you listening, if you take one thing away from this interview, is don't say feel myself unless you mean it in a sexual way. But if your intention is to just say like that you feel something or that you agree with some feeling, that is not the right way. But please go look up that. In fact, I'll link to Beyonce and Nicki Minaj's video. So if you're curious like how it's used, look at the video notes. I will link that up there as well. So actually, since this kind of took a turn into English appropriateness versus sexual connotations, what's like an interesting way that a student could be exposed to that a little more? Like for me in Spanish, it means like if I watch more Spanish TV shows or music videos, then I start like understanding, oh, okay, this is a new slang term that if I use it, you know.
I can tell you how I learned like curse words when I was a kid. Of course, I loved music and I listened to Limp Bizkit. I
That's a
listened
good
to,
source for that.
and I told you twice already that my parents don't speak English, but they do understand F words. So they know what. And I was stupid enough to write all the words out of the song, so the
I'm
ones
crying.
that I thought that I would need. And I hid them under my table. And my mom, so yeah, I wasn't cleaning my room myself. My mom did it. And she found this list of curse words and she was like, that's what I'm paying my money for. Yeah,
Was she so pissed?
yeah.
Oh my God. Seriously, tears.
So yeah, watch videos, listen to music, listen to rap music.
Okay,
You will learn
excellent.
it all.
Especially, I would say regular TV shows don't have as much, but if that's the kind of level of slang or language that you're looking for, things that are less censored, like HBO shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, oh, you know what's a good resource? UrbanDictionary.com.
Yeah,
Have you heard that one before?
yeah, I love it.
I love and hate it. I'll be honest, because I find that it's a place where people contribute, so it's not monitored by anyone. So if you ever have a phrase or a slang expression that you're looking for, use that website. And the downside is it can be very, very, very vulgar because you have so many people contributing. So I would say skip over the things that make you uncomfortable or seem hateful, but it is really good for this kind of stuff. For sure.
Yeah.
Even me as a native speaker, when I hear younger people, even though I'm not that old, but when I hear younger people use things, I'm like, what does that phrase mean? And I'm like, okay, so lit.
You can also watch Ellen DeGeneres' show because
Love
she
her.
uses slang words. She uses accents, so she plays games with her guests. And I watched, probably it was yesterday, so she talked to one of the actors, I guess. I don't remember his name, and I don't even remember what he looked like. So they played the game on uh, what I was talking about.
Totally lost your train of thought. Okay, Ellen, games, actor, funny.
Slang words.
Got it.
So they were comparing American slang words and British. So, and they used some very funny examples. And it is really hard to guess. If you don't know it, you don't know it. So it is really, really hard to guess what they mean. So I knew only one probably that Ellen used is shawty.
Uh-huh.
So
Hey,
which means
shawty, it's your
yeah,
birthday.
kid or a baby, yeah, like referring to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only one I remember. Oh no, uh, kadonkadonk, something like this.
Your
Have you
kadonkadonk. Oh no, you're badonkadonk. That's what it
Badonkadonk. Yeah, badonk.
is. That
I
means
love.
your butt, for those of you listening, your rear end. You know what? I'll try to find that. I'll see if I can look it up. So again, if you're watching, check the video links. I'll see if I can find, because Ellen does, you're right. If you want, but she does do like a clean version of English slang. So if you want really like real English, but not inappropriate, Ellen, perfect example. Tell us about how were you introduced to English? Or did you start studying from a young age or as an adult?
I started from a young age. I think I was 6 or 7 years old. And that was not my decision. So it was my parents' decision. So they wanted me to do something. And they decided that English is a good option.
Excellent.
So I had many different teachers. So I studied individually, in groups, in language schools. My family and I, we lived in Athens in Greece for 7 years. So my parents worked there in the Russian embassy. And my parents do not speak any English. So probably just primitive words like this, that, and they wanted me to speak this language.
What would you say was the most boring? Like, what was like the worst thing that didn't work for you? And then we'll talk about what was your favorite way of learning.
I didn't like classes at my university
Hmm.
because, first of all, I didn't like the teachers themselves because they were boring, most of them. I only liked one in the beginning of our journey, so the first year. So she was young and she played games, which I do love. But then they were all boring. They
Oh,
didn't have really good pronunciation, and it really bugged me. So it bothered me a lot. And many of them insisted on British pronunciation, and I already had pretty good American one, and I didn't
mhm.
want to change it. And sometimes we had those, verbal fights about pronunciation. Yeah, and I refused to
Or you're like,
pronounce
no.
the words they wanted me to.
Oh no. Okay, that sounds tough. Do you enjoy learning online or do you prefer in person? And when you say games, like what does that mean? How can someone listening maybe either find games like those or incorporate them?
First, when I didn't know what to do with my students, of course, I Googled many things. So there is a very cool resource which is called busyteacher.org. So there are
Oh,
lots of materials, there are lots of games. So there is a magazine for teachers, and they explain how to use all the games.
oh,
So
this is great.
just how to interact with your class, many tips. So it is very useful. I bought them like crazy. So I bought all the issues and I studied them very carefully.
I will definitely, if you're listening to this on the podcast and you want to check out the YouTube video, I will link all of the things that she's mentioning in the video notes. And I would say if you're an educator listening to this, it seems like those are websites geared more or mostly towards teachers. But if you're a learner, maybe go look at that too. Why not? See what games they have, or maybe look up ESL games on YouTube or English learning games. And especially if you are a more energetic learner, like some people will learn really well with memorization or just reading and writing notes. But if that's never worked for you, you're probably more of a tactile learner. So experiment with getting out of that desk, get out of your chair, do things that make you excited. And I love that that still resonates with you. Like you still, not only does it resonate with you for you, but you're spreading that energy to your students.
At the same time, I give this energy to my students, but of course, they eat it. And in the end, so in the end of the day, I am just so exhausted. I need to, yeah, re-energize, recharge my batteries.
I totally feel you. I feel like in the lesson, and I think we might have like a similar experience in that you just pour your heart out and it's like, oh, take my energy, love English like I love it. And then I feel like after my lessons at the end of the day, it's like, whoosh.
As if it is a performance sometimes. as if you're on stage and you have to entertain them and make them love what you do.
Yeah. And especially, well, actually, I meant to ask, what I'm taking from this for those of you listening who are learners is find an energetic place to learn, whether that's a YouTube video or an online teacher or an in-person class. Like, find what makes you want to show up. And for educators, keep in mind that your students are tired. You know, you have to kind of compensate to draw them in. So drawing this to a sad end, because I wish I could go on forever, but I know we both have to teach. Can you teach us how to say in Russian, just something similar to like, hi, nice to meet you, my name is.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I'm so nervous. I didn't expect to be nervous.
Repeat after me?
Yeah. Russian is so intimidating to me. Okay, I'm ready.
Привет.
Привет.
Меня зовут Таня.
Can you repeat that?
Меня зовут Таня.
Меня зовут Таня.
Приятно познакомиться.
Oh my God, slow down. What?
Приятно
Приятно
познакомиться.
познакомиться.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Yes. Oh, I feel like I'm like I am a beginner in Russian. So thank you so much. Those of you who want to perfect that, re-listen to that end part, then you could say you know a little bit of Russian. And thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I'll link to all of your social media and your website. So if you want to learn from Nataly, she has an amazing Instagram and she has a magazine. So if you want to sign up for the magazine and receive monthly, it's full of knowledge and fun, just like her. So I'll link to those. And if you want to check out more interviews, go to EnglishChallenges.com and I'll see you next time.